What's up, everybody? How you doing? Yo! You got hit by the chatbot. Give me 1 sec. Thank you, Augment! Let's fix that. Chatbot. Modules. Yo, Denalid, hello. Musical River, hello. Musical Angel, also. So, yeah, good luck me remembering all that. Hi, Jones. Yo, Shadow. At least it starts with a shh. That's closer. You gotta S at the beginning. Hold on, I gotta turn off. So, what did you do? Hold on. You... Musical River, what did you do? You put in 4 emotes. Why is that not bad? Why is that bad? What? What are you trying to help with there? Glad you guys are here. Give me a second. I don't want you guys to get hit by this stinking bot anymore. Yo, Scott. Yo, Papa. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. The chat bot's a little bit grumpy today. I got my timers. I got my modules. What module do you think I want? Nope. I'm confused. Can I can do that, right? Obviously I can do multiple emotes. Hey, Scott Ransom, could you put in multiple emotes and see what happens? Just for kicks and giggles. Because otherwise, I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, maybe it's like within YouTube. Oh, it might not be Stream Elements. It might be YouTube. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, message deleted by... Oh, by Stream Elements. No, it said deleted by Stream Elements. Okay. But why? I don't even have a spam filter on. Filters are off. Like, what do you want? It's not a banned word. Symbol protection? Paragraph protection? Emote protection? Link protection? It's not a link. So, can you put in one emote? Is that possible? Sorry about this. I don't mean to do tech stuff on but I know that it'll be annoying if everybody who puts an emote in gets canned. And I don't know if it like auto blocks people or whatever, so I want to make sure that I get this before things go crazy. Modules. Off. Those are both off. What's your problem, Stream Elements? Because I'm assuming... Okay, you know what? I'll just wait. Yeah, okay, Ukulele can put in multiple, but then she's a mod, so I don't think that counts. You're already too powerful. Dude, Papa, thank you so much. Tsunami, to be able to be second monitor is always an honor, my friend. It really is. I'm not just saying that because I'm streaming and I got the flow of consciousness happening. I really do appreciate being second monitor. I've always wanted to be a radio guy. Back in the day. Okay, Papa Tsunami can do it. What the heck? What makes you special, other than having way more subs? Third monitor? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take third monitor. The muted phone in the corner. I'll even take muted phone in the corner of the room. That's fine with me too. Hello, Dark. I know. You're, yeah. So, can Musical River, can you do one emote? Just one? Yeah, Gabriel can. Did I fix it? Accidentally? Slow mode just kicked my butt. Yeah, I gotta keep slow mode on in case, you know, when I get rated by 1 million subs and you know, like Jaden Animations finally comes over and is like, let's do this. I'm gonna destroy your channel, and then we can have a fight. You know, because that's how that's gonna work. Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we just get started and whatever. Welcome. Glad you're here. How you doing? Hey, Phoenix. Today we're going to be doing something fun. I'm not testing Fate again. But you can do the little heart one in the corner, right? That one works for you. Musical rip. And music is gone. What happened? You got kicked off YouTube. Destroyed forever. That would suck. Yeah, that would suck. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about mentoring as usual. You know, we're on YouTube this week and doing half the stream on YouTube, 12 to 2 here. And then we're going to jump over to Twitch at 2 o'clock. We're going to get back into Honkai. It's really funny to me that the main bad guy is the bank. It's the big bad in the story is debt. I just think that's hilarious. It's just funny to me. I wonder if it's a dig at US. You know what I mean? Like, is it subtly like you guys are so in debt to China that, you know, if we ever come collecting, you guys are toast? I bet it is. I bet it is. Found a girl in my school in my 3rd class period has a crush on me. Oh, that's nice. Unless, of course, she's a psychopath that wants to, you know, skin you and put you on the wall. But assuming she's not, it's nice to be thought of as attractive and have some girl like you. Have math test. Okay, later, musical. See you later, bud. Thanks for dropping in. That means a lot. Thanks for dropping in. That's very cool of you. So as I said, we're going to talk about mentor stuff again. We're going to talk about how Jesus mentored. It's actually a very generic thing. We're not even getting crazy with it because it's just how to teach. That's what it is. It's how to teach. There. That's better. And if you ever wanted to tell anybody anything about anything, I'll show you how to do it. Why don't we get into that right away? And then I'll ask you guys how you're doing. Burp. All right. Boom. By the way, I'm putting this music on, and I do this all the time, and hopefully it helps. My assumption is that it's helping to help concentrate. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of soft music in the background. If it's distracting or annoying or whatever, let me know. We'll figure out another thing. I can teach to lo-fi. I can teach to silence. I don't really care. But I just thought it'd be nice to have something going in the background. You know what I mean? So posting these emojis apparently put me in timeout for 5 minutes? What? Okay, what is that? You know what? I'm not going to have it. I refuse to have that happen. I'm going to remove Stream Elements as a moderator. You're gone, Stream Elements. If you're going to be like that, I'm going to hurt my friends and tell them to go sit in the corner. And you go sit in the corner. That's what I got to say about that. All right, Stream Elements is gone. Save. Which means my timers don't work. But we'll have to figure this out. There, everybody should be able to post anything now. If you feel free to spam with all your links and put in, you know, all kinds of horrible swear words. Just knock yourself out. But it should be good now. You should be able to do whatever you want. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Hello. I'm glad you guys are here. How was your weekend? Are you looking forward to anything? This is my last stream. Can I say that? Is that how that works? This is my last stream series, pair of streams. Last 2 streams before the weekend. And then I'm gonna have Friday off. I've been working really hard on some stuff. I do recognize that we need to have a Lego stream on Twitch. That'll happen next week. I know I said that last week, but you know, we made some big changes this week. When are we not making big changes? I know. I get it. we're doing things though. We're moving, we're shaking, we're getting things done. And so I'm gonna try to figure out, perfect the system of transfer, but at the same time, there's a lot to do offline. I got to figure out, the short stuff, and I got to figure out how to promote this thing. I made a graphic today, so I feel really good about that. By the way, if you don't know, I like making graphics, but I've never been super good at them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the best at art, and I can't draw or whatever, but I have Canva, and it's a great tool, and it can give you a good start. And so I spent a bunch of time designing something yesterday, and it became the thumbnail for this stream, and the ad for it is basically like, here's 2 streams. I feel very smart about it because I think it looks cool. Hopefully it works. My daughter came in and she said, I can't read that text. And so she's like, why don't you use the dyslexic font? So I threw the dyslexic font on there, and it looks nice. It's curvier than I want it to be, but at the same time, if it helps people to read better, then why not, right? This cooldown timer in slow mode, that isn't exactly easy to see. Perhaps I accidentally triggered that. Hard to say. I mean, it's 15 seconds. Is that too long? Should I reset the timer to something else? Hey, Sarah, good to see you. I can make, because I'm still trying to perfect this whole system too, right? Like, it's not what I would call complete. Let's see if can I turn on slow mode customization? Slow mode is on. Let's do, I don't know. How long is too long? 8 seconds? Why don't I even have slow mode on? I'll just turn slow mode off. Slow mode limits how people can participate by letting you have a time limit. I'll just turn it off. Save. All right, cool. I can't save during stream. Okay, fine. How's Sarah today? Good to see you. And thank you for having the same name on both on both Twitch and on YouTube. That's very helpful to me. It's I get it. It's hard to keep everything straight. It's not a perfect system. But at the same time, you know what? It's really helpful to me anyway. What just happened? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, there we go. It shouldn't be this confusing. I was ready to go. Boom. Okay, there we go. 15 seconds seems reasonable to me, though I don't chat that much. I mean, it's meant to be a safety mechanism, right? The idea is someone can't come in here and go blah and type a whole bunch of horrible stuff and whatever, and then mods are like, what do we do with this guy? And you got to delete a million things. It's meant to like give people a little bit of a break on doing dumb stuff. It's just like the swear filter or whatever else. I just don't know why it was blocking a bunch of emotes. Stream Elements didn't even have a thing for emotes, and I had the moderation off. I don't know what's happening. Sorry, it's hot in here. I gotta change the window. Oof. It's warm. Only +8 outside, though. So... Can you pray for my aunt? She's an aunt through marriage. She's family to us and a big part. She looked at my grandma like her own mother. So here's my grandma passed away, but yesterday her own father, who he had health things but doing okay, he collapsed yesterday and had a bunch of CPR. Oh, like that, he really went down. Couldn't resuscitate, so he ended up passing away yesterday. Okay, so your aunt, her husband, is that the idea? Your grandma passed away, yes, but yesterday her own father. So, yeah, okay, her father, your aunt's father, which is probably a relation to you that I don't know yet. But yeah, I'll tell you what. Let me pray. We'll get started on the chat, and at the same time, I'll pray for your aunt. God, thank you that you brought us here together. Thank you for another stream. Thank you for a beautiful day. Thank you for kindness to us that we don't deserve. Thank you for being able to live in peace. I think most people who are here, if not all of them, are in a nation that is at peace, at least in a town that is. We know that in the world right now there's not only wars but rumors of wars. There are very scary, difficult, horrible things happening. A lot of people dying and a lot of confusion. We as Christians, we want to be peacemakers. We want to bring people together. We want them to listen to you and sacrifice for one another and care for one another. But we know that not everybody listens, and that in this world we're going to have trouble. But we ask that you'd hold back the trouble in a very real way. That people worrying about World War III, that you'd bring them comfort, and they'd be able to have perspective. That there'd be knowledge that the people who are in charge would be especially wise. That the people who have influence would be godly, and that your glory would reign through this, despite it being so nasty. And in the same way, like with losing a loved one, there's a war inside, turmoil. The storm comes. It makes us confront our mortality. It makes us worried about the future. It makes us feel untethered from the rest of our family or from the past, and it's difficult. So I pray for Sarah's aunt and for all those who are facing a big life change through death. We know as Christians that death doesn't have a sting. It's different for us. We see things from an eternal perspective, but we still grieve. We just don't grieve like those without hope, but we still grieve. Help her to grieve well, and help us to know how to support each other through this. In Jesus' name, amen. That's rough. Okay, so I'm sorry, I have my Weird Wednesday pictures on the side, like open, just to make sure that that I actually do them. Otherwise I will forget. There we go. That's better. All right, we will do Weird Wednesday on a Thursday, regardless of how it goes. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Jesus' example of mentoring and talk about it from the perspective of really how can we be people who pass along knowledge that sticks? Really, how do we move people along to a place where they didn't know something to now they know something and they're able to apply something in a real way? We've been talking this whole time, this whole chapter, about what mentoring is, right? How to help develop people, what the process is for training. We've talked about the definition of mentoring and how unique and special it is, and how it's a one-person empowerment and sharing of relationship and in a purposeful way. And now we're coming down to the final section here, I think. And it's all about Jesus, how he taught. And it's universal concepts, right? We do this. If you're a teacher, if you're a parent, if you are someone who's done training, this is the model. This is how to do it. And it seems so basic to me anyway, because I've been a teacher forever. And so it's like, yeah, of course that's how you do it. But maybe you've never heard that before. Maybe it's something that's new. You haven't really thought about how to really engage somebody in a way that they can move forward in confidence with whatever you're trying to teach them, whether it be your kid on how to drive, or you trying to teach your toddler how to clean their room, or trying to teach someone at work how to mop the floor, or how to teach in a university to be able to help the people actually be able to apply their knowledge and pass the class. Like, how do you do it? Hey, Blocker, yo! Good to see you, man. You did find me. I appreciate it. Gotta ring that bell. Keep those alerts on. That way I'll find you. Yeah. Okay, so let's just read this together. It says, Jesus faced the task of changing the lives of peoples thousands of years after him, and he succeeded. He did it without writing books, building any schools, or founding any institutions. technically he founded the church, so it is an institution, but it means he didn't like plant a seminary. He didn't put down like a university or a hospital. So if Jesus chose to deposit his legacy in people, we should learn his method and practice it as best we can. In the Bible, we find the ideal model of a mentor to follow. Jesus, the master teacher, the following is how he did it. This is the section here, and this is really, we should talk about this for just a minute. And that is the legacy, Jesus, God of the universe, choosing to give his legacy to human beings. It is a bizarre thing to do, because he has angelic beings that, do what they're told. And he has, but he chooses to work with these people who have free will, who say no all the time and screw up the job all the time and run away from their responsibilities and look bad while doing it. Why would God actually, the word technically, he did technically write a book. Yeah, exactly. Why would he choose to give us the responsibility of carrying on his word, his name, his story, his gospel for thousands of years? Why would he do that? It seems like it's inefficient. You'd think that the best way for him to do it would be that he would come every, 10 years or so, and he would just give a big talk to the whole planet and be like, okay, everybody, here's what's happening, and here's who I am, and here's how salvation works, and here's how how you're supposed to get eternal life, and just everybody just follow that, okay? And then he'd come back and he'd do that for every generation. But he chooses not to do that, and we can kind of know why, because his preference, it seems, is that he has relationships with people who want to have a relationship with him, and people that trust him, and people that are willing to put their hope in him, regardless of the proof, regardless of all the difficulty of doing that. Yes, we believe in apologetics, and we have proof. Hey, Pony, good to see you. We have lots of evidence and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it really does come down to, hey, it's been 30 years. I've been a Christian forever, and things are going really difficult. We all get to the place where is God? And I think that's where, when we run to him and he makes himself real in a special way as we come to him through difficulty, that's where the growth comes. So it's his choice is not to, and as Star Pony said, it wouldn't work, right? I told the story before, and basically, like, if you had Jesus come down every 10 years or whatever like that, what would happen is, after he left, like 15 minutes after he left, half the people would be like, I missed that. What did he say? And then like other half would be arguing about what he said, and then the other half would be like, what are you talking about? And that, I disagree with you, Jesus. And then you'd have people that are like, I totally believe him, and but after like a year, they would have forgotten what he said, and they would have been fallen into their old sins, or for that matter, the next day, temptation comes in front of them, and they're like, okay, we know Jesus said yesterday, but where is he today? I'm going to go sin. Because that's how we work. That's how we always work. That's how what happened when Jesus was on earth. They looked him in the eye. He's like, here's the truth. And they're like, we don't want it. We'd rather you die than believe the truth. And so that's how we would treat him. It wouldn't work if he were to come down and do it himself. So he chooses to give us the opportunity to work with him, for him, to carry his message to people. It's weird. It's bizarre. I always think of 1 Corinthians chapter 1, where Paul talks about how when God saves people, he doesn't go find the wisest and the richest and the smartest and the most connected and the most attractive. What he does is he goes finds the worst person for the job, and he chooses them, and he lifts them up. He elevates, he exalts the humble, so that he gets all the glory, right? Of course we expect the talented, beautiful person to have success. What about this person who has been through a lot, who is struggling, who isn't, who has personality issues or physical disabilities or whatever? How to, when that person changes the world or changes a neighborhood or alters the trajectory of someone's life, that's amazing. And everybody goes, how'd that happen? And that person goes, well, it was God. It had to be God, because I'm not confident enough to do that. I'm not knowledgeable enough. I'm not I'm not capable of things like that. God had to do it. So he gets the glory. We're going to talk a little bit about how Jesus did it, how he took people from being, like lack of knowledge, not rabbis, not religious experts, just fishermen and tax collectors and like rich kids and people that are terrorists, and just like he just took all kinds of people. Zealots is what I meant, the zealot, and turned them into a force, a group that knew what they were doing, that had the confidence to do what they were doing, and then were able to carry their legacy on for a really long time. Yeah. Light shines brighter in the darkness. True enough. Yeah, true enough. So the first thing he did, and we see this in his life, is that he instructed them. He taught them. He instructed them verbally. Okay, so that seems like a no-brainer. Like you're supposed to instruct people verbally. Of course you are. Why wouldn't you do that? But I'll tell you what. There's a lot of people out there, men, women, like positions, that big companies and all that stuff, who just think you know how to do it, or who think you should be able to go research it yourself, or who think that it's so natural that everybody can do it, and they don't bother to actually spend time talking to them, instructing them, tying it together with language, tying it to stories like we talked about yesterday, tying it to proverbs, giving them something to grab onto. They just go, you know what? I just assume that everybody knows how to do this and go. We need to take the time to have conversations with people, to instruct them. The opposite side of this, and this is something I didn't do as good yesterday, the opposite side of this is, as students, as people who want to be discipled, or people who want to grow in their faith, or people who want to get better at the job, or people who want to pass the class, whatever we are, if we're developing as people, which everybody is, right? We need to seek out instruction. On our side, we can't simply assume we know what we're doing, assume that we understand the issue perfectly, assume that we've collected all the knowledge, assume that we know we're an expert. We can't take the time, or we must take the time to go through and learn some stuff, listen to an expert, get instruction before we go and launch into things. I can't tell you how many people have, they're like, man, I'm in debt, but I don't know what to do. I'm in debt, but I don't know what to do. It's like, man, have you read a book on how to get out of debt? No, I have not. Okay, well, have you talked to a debt consultant who taught you how to get out of debt? No, I have not. Have you been to the bank to talk to the bank about how debt works? And no, I have not. Like, then that's why you're in debt. We need to be people who not only instruct and choose to go and invest in people's life through verbal instruction, but also be people who are willing to be instructed. It says here that Jesus constantly taught, most often with parables, and discussed hundreds of issues with the 12. When the disciples would ask him the meaning of a parable, he explained it, revealing insightful truth wrapped in a story. While his mentoring was so much more than words, it did indeed involve careful instructions on his part. Jesus climbed the mountain with his disciples and taught them. Matthew 5:1. It took time, right? And it's interesting that Jesus didn't just zap the knowledge into their head. It seems that the way when God works and when Jesus works, he does things with a respect for human autonomy, with a respect for our feelings and respect for our choices. Like he doesn't have to. He doesn't need to do that. But because he could have just went, you're now my automaton and you have to say whatever I want you to say and you know everything and do the Matrix jack in the back of the head and boom, I know Kung Fu. But but Jesus chooses not to do that. In fact, he walks with them for actual years. Years and years. He walks with them, talking to them, telling them the same stories. They hear the same sermons over and over and over. They hear the Sermon on the Mount over and over and over. Like it's for them, they're steeped in this instruction that Jesus is giving them. And for us, we have to ask the question as students, are we steeping ourselves in instruction? Are we taking the time to look into and going, okay, I need to know this and I'm going to go look for it? I think of the news today. Hey, Dragon, good to see you. No worries. I think in the news today, or for that matter, Facebook or Twitter or, whatever, everybody, including myself, is guilty of seeing a headline, seeing the first two lines there that are written, as the header, and assuming we know the rest of the story. We don't even need to go looking at it. We don't even need to click it. We know it all. We get it. We understand the whole situation. And then we go and we comment on it, or we share it, or we say, we get infuriated by it, or we think it's the best idea ever. But we didn't actually read it, right? We didn't take the time to actually go through the whole article. We just grabbed, because for whatever reason, we grabbed the headline and like one sentence, and we just assume the rest. I think it's pride, it's arrogance, it's foolishness to just assume you know. Take the time to look it up. My kids have heard this a million times. You got to read. You got to read. You got to read. Everything you buy, read it. Every product you get, read the side of the package, because you don't know what it's for. I can't tell you how many years I lived not knowing I was supposed to shake stuff first. like I just, you do whatever and you eat it, and it's like, okay, whatever, that's what it tastes like. And then you look at the side of the package after however many years, and it says shake well before serving. And so you do it the first time, pour it into the thing, and you're like, wow, that's way better. Or wow, that really poured way better. Or the bottom of it isn't like gunk anymore. Like, it really worked because I read the side of the package. Or for that matter, every single fast food thing, right? Or not fast food, microwave dinner or whatever. You put it in there, and each one has their own little foible, right? Do you pull the little corner off? Do you stab it with a fork? Do you pull out the dessert and put it on the side first? Does it sit in there for 5 minutes, and then you have to wait for 5 minutes before it's actually cooked? Like, if you don't read, you're not going to do it correctly, and you're going to assume that's what it's supposed to taste like, and that's what it's supposed to be. All the people that are online that are complaining that their microwave doesn't work, or complaining that the recipe is stupid, or complaining that the box of whatever doesn't do what it's told, I would bet that most of them, if not all of them, didn't actually read what they were supposed to do. They just assumed, threw it in there, took a good guess, and then were like, that didn't work. That's a terrible product, or that's a terrible solution, because they didn't read. It is arrogant and foolish to do that. I mean, how much more with the scriptures, right? This is for me, and I can talk about this from a pastoral perspective, because I was a pastor for years and years and years. Biblical illiteracy is probably the number one problem within the church. People don't know the Bible. And I'm not talking about like new Christians, and I'm not talking about like the folks that are just kind of sitting there listening to the sermon. I'm talking about everybody. The elders don't know what an elder is. The deacons don't know what a deacon is. The worship leader doesn't know what worship leading is. The Sunday school teacher doesn't know the Bible, right? It's absolutely true that if you walk into a church at any level, it is very likely that whoever, even if they're in charge, has made a lot of assumptions about God, a lot of assumptions about the Bible, and it just thinks they're right. And they get really frustrated when you point that out. I know, because I worked really hard to know the Bible. I was a preacher, and my number one job was a preacher, which is why I spent so much time in the Bible. And so when I confronted people, and I kept saying things like, but that's not what the Bible says. But that's not what the Bible says. We're a church, and I could do that. We're a church, and I'm the pastor. We're going to do it the way the Bible says. And they'd be like, well, and literally, I remember I got to one meeting, and we were talking about leadership within the church and servant and kind of the leadership structure, and sitting there having this conversation, and things get a little confusing and whatnot, and things happen during the week that were like what weird, and we come back to another meeting, and people keep, around the table, they keep giving their ideas, and one person kept giving literally unbiblical things. Like it was borderline, theft, or borderline, misrepresentation. Like it was sketchy stuff, and that sounded right. What if we this? And other people are like, oh yeah, and I'm like, I can literally point to the verse that says don't do that. right? No, that's not what the Bible says. No, that's not what the Bible says. Eventually, after saying that like 5 times to this person, she and this was a deacon, this was a leader in the church, they looked right at me and were like, I don't care what the Bible says. This is what I think is right. Like literally. And I'm like, and there it is. Most people won't admit that. Most people won't just sit there and look you in the eye and go, I don't care what the Bible says. This is how I feel. I don't care what the Bible says. This is what I want to do. But almost everybody's doing it. Why? Because they do not appreciate instruction. They simply don't. They either think they know it all, or they're too lazy, or they don't want it. But we need to. We absolutely need to. The God that you worship, you want to make sure it's the real one. The Jesus that saved you, you want to make sure it's the real Jesus, right? The religion you're practicing, you want to make sure it's the one that God said, yep, do that one. You know what I mean? It's not little stuff. And you can't simply assume you know. You can't. Number 2, demonstration. He in a life-related context, right? It's funny because it says in a life-related context. And I think the reason behind that is the opposite, which would say like in a like a sort of surgical or university or like classroom place. Like it's not they weren't removed from society, stuck in a school for 3 years and be like, okay, here, which is exactly what happened to me. Right? That's how I became a pastor. They were like, I went from my bachelor's degree to my master's degree, and I sat in the room and I was like, okay, I'm going to go learn how to do this now. And I sat there and I took classes for 3 years. Yeah, there was some practical stuff, and yeah, there were, I had to volunteer or whatever, but I didn't have to. Like, I could have graduated with never leaving the seminary, never having to actually do anything. It's the whole point here is that it's when Jesus did it, it was in a real life context. They were looking at the poor people. They were sitting in the temple, watching the Pharisees. They were sitting in the boat, looking at the storm. They were listening to Jesus, and then he'd watch him perform a miracle. Like, it was among people, to people, around people. And in the second way, he didn't just tell them, he showed them. Educational philosophy today relies too heavy on instruction. It's funny, I just literally beat the drum of we all got to have instruction. But this is also a valid point. Educational philosophy today relies too heavily on instruction. If Jesus had taught the disciples and had done nothing more, they would never have carried on his legacy. But Jesus shared his life with them. He deliberately gave the disciples his life as an example to watch. He knew they would learn faster if he showed them, not just told them. He taught with his life. We as mentors, and we would talk to the mentors first, right? Those who are teachers, those who are bosses, those who are parents who are trying to do this, they gotta watch us do it, whatever it is. Right? The lazy, I think of the lazy dad sitting on the couch, like that. And the kid, teen or kid or whatever walks up and is like, hey, how do you run the so-and-so, or how do you start the lawnmower, or how do you, my car did a thing, and how do you get that fixed? And the lazy dad who isn't willing to get off the couch starts giving instruction. Well, what you're going to want to do is this or that, or go out there and take a look at, and then looks back at the TV. It's not good teaching. It's not good parenting. It's not good anything. It's not good mentoring at all. You got to get off the couch. You got to go and demonstrate. You got to walk alongside that person, right? It's not just about here. My instruction and wisdom and word is enough for you. They need to see. Especially if you're talking about really critical life stuff. Right? Like literally, like how you organize your money, or how you organize your time, or how you stay, connected to God, or how you work through a fight, or, all these like really important mentor stuff. Instead of just being like, well, here's how a budget works, right? Literally pull out your budget, put it in front of them and like, well, here's mine, but that's got my numbers on it. Yeah. They don't care. They're going to go, wow, you don't make a lot. Or they're going to go, wow, you make a lot. And then you'll move on. You're older than them, or you're farther along. They should know that you are going to be in a different situation. But they can look at your numbers, and they can look at how you're doing. And you can say, see, this is why we set it apart, and this is a time that a bad thing happened, and then we were ready because we had our savings, and, or time management. Here's my calendar. Punk. This is what I do. This is how it works, and this is where I go. And that's why I'm always on time for our meetings. This is how it goes. I believe very strongly in instruction. I'm the preacher. I like instruction, but I also know that in every sermon, it has to end with a so what. Like, okay, do you just talk for 30 minutes? So what? What am I going to do with that information? And a practical, application where you can actually go out and do something that week about what was just said. It's got to happen. If it doesn't apply to life and there's no reason for you to say that, why did you even preach? But during the week when this is happening, a good university, a good school, a good classroom, a good whatever, is going to give opportunities for practice. We talked about the lab yesterday, the safe place to practice. This is kind of like that. So, for example, go to small group in your church and like, okay, we go to small group and we go listen and get instruction. Okay, you also do relationships, right? Yeah, we do relationships for the first 15 minutes, and then we do instruction. Like, okay, well, what do you do with all this, all the instruction? What do you do with it? Like, what are you learning? Well, we're learning how to share our faith. Cool. Do you do that? Have any of you left the small group and gone and done that? Because that's what it's for. Go as a group and see if you can, do this kind of thing. It's critical that what we say has legs. Now, the opposite side of this, as students, when we look at this, we're like, we have to recognize that we have to do the work. And we can't just listen in class or listen to the boss or listen to our parents and assume we got it. Just as, okay, I heard them, I wrote down the notes, I assume I got it. Sometimes we have to drag out from them to show us. Sometimes we have to say, hey, can you just let me see? Can I watch you do it? Or for that matter, can you tell me about a time that this actually worked out in your life? I get it. You're talking about forgiveness. I get it. Or you're talking about, like time management. Can you tell me how this actually worked out in your life? I need to know a practical example. Sometimes we'll have to pull that out. But at the same time, sometimes our mentors, our teachers, our bosses are going to ask us to do something. They're going to say like, okay, now go and apply this somewhere. And our instinct is like, well, I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. What do I get? Do I get a grade for that? Are you going to grade me on that? Are you am I going to get anything for it? Are you going to pay me to do that or whatever? Like, what do I get? The answer is what you get is to solidify the instruction in your brain. Solidifies the instruction in your brain so that you can see the person do it and you can walk through it and see what they're doing. Jesus says, "For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you." He demonstrated, he walked along them with his life. And then experience, which is obviously very closely tied, kind of what I was already talking about. And that is, he let the disciples participate and apply the truth themselves. This is a big deal. Like, I don't know if you can properly grasp. I know I can't, but the idea of Jesus, the Savior of the world, looking at these people who he's been training for, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years maybe, and he goes, okay, now go 2 by 2 to a bunch of towns and do what I've been doing, right? Tell them what I've been saying, show them what I've been doing, talk to them about me, go. Right? That's monumental. Like, how many of us would take a new convert and we would look at them and we would go, okay, you've been at the church for a year. Here's the pulpit, right? Or you've been at this business for a while. Here's the budget. You've been at this is mechanic shop for a while. Here's how to do, go do all the paperwork. Like it would, like, it's too much, too fast, too soon. That's insane. But Jesus goes, no, this is how they need to know. This is how they're going to learn. It says, after Jesus had modeled good leadership and taught spiritual truths, he didn't turn his men loose and move on. He gradually worked them into positions of independent leadership by giving valuable experience. Jesus transferred the responsibility he felt for advancing the kingdom to his mentees, his disciples. Jesus gave his followers an opportunity to practice what he had taught and to practice leadership. That. He gave them all ownership for the ministry through delegation and authority. Actually, that word is really critical. That word, he gave them ownership. That's what we're trying to do when it comes to experiences. If you're a teacher, if you're on the side of a teacher, as long as it's theory and instruction, as long as you're the one doing it and they're watching you, right? It's kind of real. It's kind of real, but it's not until the person actually has to do it that it gives them ownership, or they understand the actual task, right? It's university, I think, is really guilty of this sometimes, in that they give a lot of information, they give a lot of books, and they give a lot of lectures and stuff, but the person on the other end doesn't take ownership of that knowledge because it's never really applied to anything in their life. They have no need to know it, and they have no way that it's going to change anybody's life, even though it's like their major, and even though it's like a really important thing to do. They've never been told to go and practice it, go try, because everybody's busy and everybody's got extra stuff. I think in the same way, churches can get this wrong. You know, you get everybody come on Sunday and then everybody come on Wednesday, right? Like come listen to the sermon and then come listen to the Devo and everybody pray and then don't do anything else. It's really, the only way people are going to take ownership of the thing that we're teaching is if we give them a chance to practice it. You know, our kids, it's just like that. You know, mow the lawn. Mowing the lawn is a big one because it's a big machine that could chop your feet off. You know what I mean? It's a big deal. It's loud. It's noisy. It's doing stuff. It's dangerous. It's got gas. It's got oil. It's got noises that you got to listen for and stuff. And so you take this kid, and it's like, it's one thing to say, okay, this is the lawnmower. You know, you've seen it work, and you've seen me mow the lawn. It's another thing to go, okay, kid, start the lawnmower. Now choke the lawnmower. Now walk the lawnmower, right? Let's see how you can do. And it's always the same thing. You know, I've taken multiple kids through this. It's the same thing. They go and they're like, oh, I can do that. And then they can't start it. I'm like, okay, so let's talk about that and why that's not working. And then they, you know, like, oh, how does this choke thing work? Well, let's talk about that and how that thing works. And now you move it and listen to how the engine works. And then they go and do their lines. They're like, I did exactly what you did. And like, well, let's go look at the grass in an hour, you know? And it's all just like there's grass sticking up everywhere. And like, you thought you did it all right, correct? Right? Well, apparently you missed some. Let's talk about that. And let's move through how you can make sure you don't do that next time. It doesn't matter how much you tell them to mow the lawn or to get a good budget or to do their homework or live life or whatever date, you know, I don't know. Pick a thing. It doesn't matter how much you tell the person how to mop the floor and show them how to mop the floor. That you have to give them a chance to do it themselves within the structure. And this is what he said, an opportunity to practice what is happening in that lab environment, that safe lab environment, so that they feel as though they have confidence, and then they can take ownership of it, right? Until it's like, man, good job. Now that's yours. They're not going to take ownership. Mark 6:7, and he called the 12 to himself and began to send them out 2 by 2 and gave them the power over unclean spirits. It's wild that Jesus did that to give people like us ownership of the gospel, to spread the most important message in the history of the world to people, and that's what we're supposed to do. Man, would you trust you to do that? Would you, if the planet needed to know a message, would you give you the message to tell everybody? I don't know if I would. Next one. This is assessment. In a life-related context, he debriefed their shared experience and assessed their growth. Jesus repeatedly evaluated the progress of disciples. After the return of the 70, he debriefed them, gave them instruction concerning priorities, and celebrated with them. He also gave individual assessment to his disciples, including specific feedback concerning their character and their capabilities. Once he trusted them with tasks, he knew they would need accountability on their performance. Luke 10, nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven. He took time during Luke 10 to really sit down and talk to them about what happened, right? We, as a society, generally now, we don't like tests or assessments because we don't like being told we're wrong, right? Yes, please do hit subscribe and like. That really helps. Like, we don't like being told we're wrong. And the problem with being assessed or being tested or having a test that actually matters or having, a score to the game or having qualifications that if you don't meet, you're fired, that kind of thing. The reason that we have those is because it's something to achieve. It holds accountability. It allows for people to govern their time and their energy and to know what's important. But as soon as it's like, well, we're going to teach you something and you're going to try something, but we're never going to check and see if you did it right. And we're just going to give you a passing grade anyway. Or we're going to, just let you keep doing it that way. And it really doesn't matter. And we're never going to look over your shoulder. And then either you blow yourself to smithereens, you screw something up monumentally, or you do it at like 30% efficiency. And that's the best you can do. And they think that's how it's done. And that's how it's always going to be, because that's how everybody's always done it. It's critical that we assess, even if it's going to hurt their feelings, our students, our kids, our job mates, our employees, whatever it is, we have to take the time to talk to them about it. And if they're like, they're going to throw up excuses like crazy. I have this issue and I have that issue and my parents are like this and my house is like this and my kids are like this and I have that, of course. And you work through that. I'm like, all right, cool. I understand. But let's talk about what you agreed to do. Let's talk about whether or not you had time to do it and the ability and the energy and the whatever to do it, and whether or not you pulled it off. Let's talk about the benefits that are gleaned from that. Let's talk about the struggles that you had. Let's talk about the stresses that were there and manage through that. That it's one thing to do the lab or they're practicing. It's another thing to spend time sitting there and going, okay, now that you've touched the thing, let's talk about it. Like mowing the lawn. Is sit there. You have to go back outside. Right? The lazy dad. Did you do the lawn? Yeah, I did the lawn. Okay, cool. Thank you. Back to the TV. Right? The active parent goes, let's go look at the lawn. And you stand up and you walk out to the lawn and you go, let's talk about it. And right there, it's all fresh and the shoes are still green, you can walk through this thing and give assessment, right? And be willing to say, good job on like 80% of it. You missed the part around the tree and you missed a couple lines. You didn't get close enough to the garden. But other than that, it's actually done pretty good. Let me explain how to get closer. Let's try this again. It's going to hurt your feelings maybe if you're not that kind of person. I mean, I'll ask the chat, and I can't tell how many people are watching. It's really funny. 0% chance of knowing. But I'll ask the chat. Are you someone who has a hard time giving assessment to people because you don't want to tell them they did it wrong, or you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you're worried they're going to get mad at you, or you're worried they're going to quit on you, and so you avoid assessment because you think that it's going to be worse than if you actually tell them they did it wrong? Does anybody who's listening actually have a struggle with that? Because I think a lot of people do, as leaders, as teachers, as guides, as older siblings, mostly when it's my wife. Okay. Yeah. That's a great one. Like Terry, literally. And that sounds like almost a joke, but like if you want to give an assessment to your wife, like she's going to like, how was dinner? Well, I don't want her to get mad at me and I don't want her to throw up her hands and I don't want her to stop cooking, and I'm going like, oh, that was good. That's what I'm going to say. That was good. But if it's actually, you know what? I really like this part, but this part needs work, or it didn't seem like it was quite right. And that's perfectly valid. Perfectly valid. You totally are able to do that. And if the person flips out, that's them. Right? Yeah, sure, your delivery matters and whether or not they built the relationship and whether or not they trust you and whether or not all that's beforehand, right? If they don't trust you and they don't believe you and you've shown yourself to be a liar and you're showing yourself to be lazy and you're even worse at everything than everybody, and all of a sudden you're giving criticism, yeah, you're going to get yelled at. But if you're actually doing the job and they know you love them, then giving criticism or giving assessment it will improve everybody. It'll improve everybody because she'll know you're honest. And she'll know that when you say the compliment, yeah, that was so good, you really mean it. Because if you live an entire life and you've never heard anything other than, yeah, my meals are great, you're just going to assume they're great. But if you're like, actually, this needs tweaking, or this didn't really fit, or whatever, or this came cold, but the rest of it was good, we're going to improve. We're going to improve. Denalid says, giving feedback is difficult because so few people like to receive it. It's true. It's true, and that's exactly true. And that's the other side of this. That is the other side of this, and that is, listen, you got to ask for feedback. You got to accept feedback. You got to humbly take the feedback and change your behavior based on the assessment. Now, are all assessments good? No, they're not. Right? There are people who have chips on their shoulders that are going to give you a bad assessment simply because they want you to fail. There are people who have no flying clue what you're doing or what they're doing, but they have an opinion and someone put them in charge and they have no clue. And so they're, that's an invalid assessment. You have people who are trying to take your job or trying to whatever. And so they're going to try to make you feel terrible. Like there are invalid assessments, which is one of the reasons why we keep going, ugh. I don't want to be assessed because I don't trust these people. I don't like these people. I don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. So I don't want their assessment. But the only way you're going to grow is if you ask for feedback. For example, when you're taking the taco class, the Alliance for Creative Outreach. If you don't know what that is, I'm the executive director of the Alliance for Creative Outreach. That is a network of Christian content creators. We have a board, we have a structure, we work through accountability, we work through all kinds of support systems and training. I have a 10-week course that I take all the people who small streamers who want to take it. I take them through it. And part of that is I give the lecture, and then at the end, for like 15 minutes of the hour-and-a-half class, we assess the stream. During the time, when I ask a question, like here, this is critical, I ask the question, okay, listen, do you do that? Or are you doing that? Or how many, raise your hand if you never considered that before. Let's assess, because I can talk for forever. It's a gift that I have. Hooray. But it's going to be meaningless unless I stop, look the creators dead in the eye and go, okay, I just said you need to know your audience, and you need to narrow it down to be someone you can actually understand who that is. Not just somebody, but you know who it is. You know who you're trying to talk to. Do you? Right? If I don't do that, and they don't take the time to assess, and we don't take the time to talk about it, they'll never change. They'll never get better. Euclid says for chat, are you someone who has hard time giving an assessment for someone? Oh yeah, that's the question I asked. Well done, thank you. Pony says it's really depends on the situation because it's kind of my job at work. Yeah, well that's good, right? If it's your job and it's part of the structure, and again, that's great. If you can build into the structure that assessment's expected right from day one, right? Then they at least know it's coming. But if it comes out of nowhere, yeah, you can get a little bit of feedback. But if it's like, yeah, every 30 days we talk about this, or if you're going to be here after 90 days, we're gonna talk about what you're doing, just how it works here. So be ready for it. Like, yeah, good for them. That's what you should do. Jesse, hi Jesse. I have more trouble with grace than truth. I think a lot of Christians, conservative Christians, I think because we are people of the word and people of truth, and we watch as the father of lies manipulates people. We tend to be like, word, truth, talk, Bible, preach, school, and we forget the process, and we forget the person, and we forget that God creates people individually, and that we were screwed up for a really long time too, and we were glad other people gave us patience and grace. We just forget that people shouldn't be exactly what we are now. It's so, yeah, we have that trust struggle too. It's definitely true. Thesis says, oh yeah, I don't want to correct them for something they might have noticed themselves. But there's a question, right? Theseus is how do you know they noticed it? So if you say, hey, you missed the table, right? You're supposed to wipe all the tables and you missed that table. They can go, actually, I did not. That has a stain on it. And I tried to get rid of it, and it's still there, right? And you can have that talk And you can go, okay, cool. You did your job. Very, very cool. Let's elevate the system and be able to say, how do we get rid of stains? Let's talk about that. New training, new assessment. That's cool. Now we can get better. If you don't bring it up, you just assume everybody's doing everything, nobody's going to get better. And the whole place is going to have resentment. Your whole organization, your family, your organization, your church, your job, everybody's going to be upset. Underlying grumpiness. Why? Because there's no accountability, so people are getting away with stuff, and other people are getting dumped on, and there's no confrontation, so therefore the people that are causing problems, they never get told to stop, or they never get dealt with. Eventually, the good people leave. Like, man, I came here to work, or I came here to learn, or I came here to whatever. So I'm not here to do drama. So I'm leaving. And then you're stuck with only the people who don't want to be assessed, who don't want to have conversation, who don't want to be confronted, and are trying to get away with everything. That's the culture you're creating if you avoid assessment. Dragon says, if somebody asks for feedback, I'll give it, but be prepared because I'll tell it straight truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But again, that's what we were talking about with was it Terry? No, it wasn't Terry. Who was it? Jesse. Yeah, it was Jesse, right? And that's the idea that we gotta be gracious. I mean, that's literally commanded in Scripture. Like, we're supposed to season our language with salt. We should be gracious to when we bring it. Love first, right? Terry says, is there a difference between expected and unexpected assessment? I mean, well, actually, from a psychological point of view, hey, Augment, good to see you, man. From a psychological point of view, both are important, right? You if you know Pavlov's dogs, right? The idea that you can trigger a response through whatever you're going to do. You'd think that what you would do is the best way to raise a child, or the best way to correct people, or the best way to anything, is that you would do it consistently. Here, every day we're going to do the same thing, right? And you get used to it. That does work. But according to research, it actually works better if it's intermittent, if the rewards come intermittently rather than regularly. So in the world of assessment, expected assessments should be there, right? In 90 days, 1 year, or however long. At the end of your thing, we're going to read it and we're going to tell you if you did it right. But at the same time, the unexpected assessments have value too, right? Pop quizzes or with what are they? Secret shopper? What do they call that? Right? The guy from management who comes in and does the shopping in your shop, or whatever. That spot assessment, that random one, it reinforces things a bit more. I think, again, if we can do grace while doing the spot ones, right? I think we can drop a lot more truth during the regular ones. Like 90 days, you expected an assessment. Let's talk. We're going to get real here. Whereas a spot assessment, if you're a gracious boss, you can walk up and you can go, hey, you know what? Let's talk about the job you just did. What did I do? What did I do wrong? Well, hold on. We're not about what you did wrong. Let's just talk about it. Like, I want to check in and see how you're doing and see how the job is going, right? Spot assessment. I think it needs more grace, but at the same time, if you don't do them, then people are going to do. Actually, here's a story, right? My kids work for Subway, and they would get warned when the secret shopper's coming in, and so they would do. I think it was like washing their hands or changing their gloves, and I can't remember what exactly it was, but it seemed like important. There was one like, you can't have your cup on the counter, like your own little drinking cup. You can't have that on the counter. What would happen is that for a month and a half, they would not do the activity. They wouldn't clean the thing, or they'd have their cup out, or they'd look at their phone during the shift. And then the boss would come in and be like, hey, we're getting an assessment tomorrow. Make sure you wash your hands properly and blah, 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 right? What you've taught them is that the assessment doesn't matter. And because it's regular and because it shows up all the time, we don't have to perform the task, because I don't have to do it except for that one day, right? When the regular time comes. If there's spot assessments, right, as in unexpected assessments, well, that's where I got to make sure I'm washing my hands, because I never know when I'm going to get looked at. Or for that matter, let me continue that thought. Same thing with rewards. It's not just criticism. Same thing with rewards. If you give regular rewards, whatever your thing is, and it's meaningful. If you give unexpected rewards that they didn't see coming for good work that they've done, they will do way better work for you. Same thing with students, right? If they get rewarded out of nowhere for something regular that they should have done anyway, and they did a decent job on it, they're going to be like, man, okay, that's cool. I didn't realize that they were noticing what happened there. So I'm going to make sure that I do that again, because you never know when the reward's going to come, man. I might get that again. You never know. And both are critical. Both are really important. But at the same time, it is a bit of an art rather than a science when it comes to the unexpected stuff. Dencon says, Grace is where I'm glad I have history in retail computer sales. You learn how to correct without insulting. Oh, for sure. I mean, computer especially, right? Most users are wildly ignorant about what they're doing. And they assume a lot of stuff. But that they don't actually know. But you can, you have to learn how to be kind, gentle, patient, and repetitive when you're talking about computer stuff. Dragon says, I'll tell them beforehand, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it, that I'm going to be blunt about it and let them make the choice with that information. Yes, but again, Dragon, I'll say this, I keep saying again because I keep repeating myself. Forgive me, I seem to have verbal tics now. If you don't use the old compliment sandwich or throw a positive into negative, you're just going to be known for the guy that says mean things. And so, therefore, your assessment will only be asked for when criticism and negativity is what's looked for. When we want it harsh, when we want someone to come and really, whatever. And if they're proud of what they did, they're not going to show you, right? Because you're not the encouragement and then a little bit of truth guy. You are the person who poops on everything. Because truth, right? And therefore you don't get to see all the really positive stuff. You gotta do both. Ukulele says some things shouldn't wait for the scheduled review either. Things that are more urgent, yeah, for sure. Like safety stuff. Like you're gonna fall off the ladder, man. Let's talk about how to climb a ladder. Dencon, the unexpected rewards stick with you big time. When I was working retail, one of the managers, out of the blue, thanked me for what I do and paid for my lunch out of his own pocket. Yeah. And it literally, you remember that, right? That's fused in my brain. That's like a core memory. It's right there. It's kind of like when any guy gets a compliment, right? Like we don't get compliments very often. And so when it comes, it's like, well, core memory, right? Because someone said something nice about our shirt or our hair or whatever. And so we just take that and we lock it away because it's so important. If we did that with rewards, yeah, people are going to really alter their behavior because they're looking for that reward. Denalid says, I got an out of cycle raise once, and that was way more exciting than the annual adjustments. Totally, dude. Totally. I completely agree. Dencon says about $8 for a bag of beef jerky and 2 sodas. And that was something in 2015. Yeah, right? Actually, these days, man, that's a $30 meal right there. But still, it's a big deal. Read the last paragraph here. It says, the beautiful part about these principles is that everyone of us can apply them, and not just leaders, not just students. And really, this is, again, I'll say this a million times, but this is all universal stuff. Everybody needs to hear all this. Whether you're a boss or you're a pastor, you're a leader, you are a student, you are a teenager, you're a toddler. We all need this because it's universally applicable stuff in our life. If you ask the question, I want to learn how to play guitar. Okay? I want to learn how to play guitar. Okay. I don't know how to play guitar. What am I going to need? I'm going to need to find somebody who will show me how to play the guitar. I'm going to find somebody who can play the guitar that I've heard can play the guitar because I want to play the guitar like them. I'm going to play the guitar in front of them, and I'm going to play guitar so that they can tell me whether or not I'm doing it right. And then I'm going to go out and do a concert, and I'm going to sing a song for somebody. That's how it works. That's how piano lessons work. And the reason is because that's how you teach stuff. You know, which one of these do you remove when you want to learn how to play guitar? You remove the instructor? No. And then you got people that slough. They learn 7 chords and they think that they're a master, and can I be a worship leader now? No. Do you remove demonstration? Do you remove the person who's actually showing you how to do it? Who is playing the thing properly? Of course not. Do you remove the little concert? Do you remove the having to stand in front of somebody or having to sit in front of some people and actually play the thing? No, because that level, that necessary stress is what's going to make them want to practice. Do you remove the assessment and just tell them every song they ever played and every note they ever hit is perfect? Of course not. You have to assess so that they can get better. This is just how it works. This is how all of it works. And yet, and I'll go back up, as students, as people, as adults, as 45-year-olds that think they're really smart, we skip this stuff, right? I skip the instruction because I think I already know it. I skip the instruction because I think I already know it. Or you know what? I'll just go figure it out. We skip the demonstration, right? It's like, well, nobody else does it the way I wanted to do it, so therefore I'm just going to do it my way. We skip showing it to anybody, or we skip actually doing it in practicing it. We just want to do the one thing, and we want it done and be perfect the first time. We never ask anybody if we did it right because we don't want to get our feelings hurt. Like, we skip this stuff, but if we really want to do a good job, let's just own it. Let's appreciate that this is just how you learn stuff. I'll tell you what, I'm going to jump into the just chatting section. I'm going to sit down and we're going to have a little talk. Every stream I do is an AMA, even the gaming one. If you can stop my game, we will AMA and talk about big subject over there too. I usually start with a big talk like this because I want to prime the pump and do some development stuff. But if you've got anything you want to talk about, counseling stuff, pastor stuff, life stuff, leadership stuff, business stuff, mental health stuff, I'm here. I'm happy to chat. So I'm going to sit down, change this, and then we're going to keep talking. Let me pray real quick. God, thank you for being so good to us. You've given us the instruction, and you walk with us every step of the way, and you're the perfect judge, and you give us a conscience and the Holy Spirit inside to convict us. You are the perfect teacher. You've given us this perfect environment for us to learn and to grow and to be more Christ-like. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. You don't have to, but you did. You're very kind to us. Help us to honor you and to glorify you through it. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, I'm going to sit down. Ooh. I only stood for an hour. I shouldn't need an oof if you only stand for an hour. Sometimes you need a good oof, though. I did see a comment come through, so I'm going to make sure that I read that before I get too far ahead. Euclid says, I always remember that when I took the motorcycle permit class, the ones who failed were the guys who thought they knew it all. None of the ladies failed. Yeah. Those who were open to instruction. Absolutely. Like, it's the same thing with, and again, I'll go back to the microwave food, because like, or just cooking in general, right? It's like, wow, this is really good. How'd you do that? I read the recipe and followed the instructions. Okay, cool. I like that recipe. I'm going to do it next time. This isn't nearly as good. Did you follow the instructions? Well, I took a glance at them. I'm pretty sure I knew what I was doing. Clearly not. Right? This is not how it works, man. You got to read the instructions. I did miss some of that as I had a few issues with the lunch and tornadoes in the area. Bro, that sucks. Yeah, tornadoes do affect the old internet. But I'll tell you what, it's all that. One of the reasons I switched over to YouTube is because I want to make sure that all of the talks are kind of evergreen over here, right? You can jump into it and you can always see it. I'm going to try my best to remember to go in afterwards and put the timestamps on for when it starts and when it ends. I can actually trim it. I can literally cut off the first part and add the timestamps later. It's a bit of a process, but I'm going to try to make it so that it's far more approachable. Give it easier to watch. I wish I could get an editor to just clean it up. That's what I wish. I wish I could find an editor. I wish I had money. Let's go with that. I wish I had the money to pay an editor to be able to take these things and clean them up so that there's not a bunch of stuff in the middle. It's just, here's 25 minutes of gold and not, an hour and a half of fooling around. Dencon. Good to see you, Dencon. Appreciate it. And yes, if you hit the like button, it super helps, man. It super helps. It tells the algorithm that you like what I'm doing and other people should watch it. You got poor DP's got a tornado in the area, and you had lunch, so I mean it balances out. Dencon Zenith, my dad complains about being a terrible cook all the time, and yet he doesn't follow the instructions. Pride comes before the fall. There's a reason that's a proverb, and it means if you assume you already know, you assume you're the best, you assume you've fully figured it out, you assume that there's nothing else you need to figure out because you're perfect, you are going to screw it up. That's what that means. And it's true. And there's so many mediocre people out there who are more than happy with their mediocrity. And all they would have to do to tweak it is to take one class, to have someone look over their shoulder, to have to go and show somebody who knows what they're doing, and they would like two little tweaks to what they're doing, and it would radically alter how fast they can do it and how good they can do it. But you think they're going to open themselves to instruction? No, they won't. And it's very frustrating. Bible stuff too, man. Hey, you don't know the Bible at all. I'm going to do a Bible study. And you get 4 people out of 100. But you all need to know it too. Maybe that's just me though. Yeah, so it's, if you want, AMA time. Happy to talk. If you want to talk about the what we just chatted about or talk about anything else, I'm going to open it up for AMA. If we don't have AMA stuff, then I'll shut down and I'll take a little break and I'll come back at 2 on Twitch. But I'm more than happy to chat. I'm here for it. That's what I'm here for. I taught myself a lot of stuff, but then 100% of that is from following tutorials, watching people who know what they're doing, and endless quantities of practice. Exactly. And that's fine, because I did the instructions, right? And I did the example, and I did the what was in the lab. Dude, what you're missing is assessment, which you probably did assessment. You just didn't know it because it either worked and someone went, good job, or it didn't and someone went, bad job. But assessment helps. I like assessment. I personally, when I was growing up, when I was a kid, I skipped grade 1 because my mom taught me how to read and I already did everything in grade 1, so I didn't need it. So I went straight to grade 2. That meant I was really young, youngest person in the class always. And then, but all the way along, just because school comes easy to me, it always has. I love tests, man. I love tests. It's my favorite thing. So I would be excited, pop quiz. I'm sweet. I love pop quizzes. Let's go. Final exams. I was juiced. I love final exams. It was my favorite time of year. And the reason was because I knew I was going to pass, right? It was, whereas other people were freaking out about it, right? They didn't do their studying, or they're not good at tests, or whatever, and they're freaking out about it. And so when I would, oh dude, it was awful. I would go in there, my poor friend Carl. So I remember going to math class one time, and came in, and we both did the same test, right? The unit test was coming up, and I did it. I finished it off, and I throw it in, and Carl's sweating away. I was done like 15 minutes before him. I'm out there doing whatever. And he comes out and he's, man, that was hard. I'm like, I guess it had some questions on there for sure. Next day or the day after, when we got the evaluations, he said, so what were you doing last night? Right? What were you doing last night? I'm like, well, I watched Wrath of Khan, man. I came home and I watched some Star Trek, and then I watched Wrath of Khan and had a snack and went to bed. He's like, I was up till 2 studying. I'm going to do better than you. And then the quiz came out, and we got the results. We got the exact same score. It made him so mad. It made him so mad. It didn't help me when I got to college, though, okay? Like, I didn't have to read for the first 6 years of post-secondary because I just knew how to pass classes. And again, you can be good at school, but not know stuff. School has its own rhythm. And it did not teach me good study habits. Just being good at it did not help. Would you ever do a trivia stream or take a test stream? Absolutely. I would love to do that. I actually, doing the trivia stream or doing the test on stream stuff is fun because then I can talk through it. I really like doing that. I really like talking through tests and quizzes and all that stuff. Back in the day, when Theseus was on here, we actually did a few. I loved that. That was fun. We did trivia last month. Oh yeah, it's true. We did. We absolutely did. Last month was a quiz stream. We did trivia last month on Taco. Yeah. What was next month? When I chimed in with I could walk away and still pass, people got annoyed. Yeah. Made people in my physics angry. I had 93% average before the final, and everyone was comparing minimum scores they needed to pass. It's like I could not. Yeah, I had those too. Well, if I didn't take the test, I'd get a C. So I'm gonna walk in there and see how I do. My parents were never really like hardcore with the grades. They said, we want you to pass. The minimum requirement is you got to pass. Period. Okay. So if I got 65, actually, it actually did drive my parents a little crazy, because when I really knew the subject or whatever, I would do 65% of the test and then stop and hand in a test that had a bunch of blank answers because I was just too lazy to finish the test. I just, minimum, go. And I just wouldn't finish. I just knew I got all those other questions right, and I'd get 65, and that's all my parents wanted, and that's all I wanted, so I'm done. And it just, they're like, dude. So therefore, every report card, I could pull them out and show you, every report card since the beginning of time said, Alan has great potential if he'd only apply himself. Alan has great potential if he'd only apply himself. Every year, every report card, every semester, same thing. This happened to my grandfather too. He went to bed on time while his roommates in college stayed up till 4 a.m. They both got a C. Yeah, I don't think all-nighters ever help. Your brain doesn't work if you pull an all-nighter. You get to the test, you're dumber. Whatever you crammed in there is not going to stay anyway. Yeah. Although I'll tell you this, when I did apply myself, when I got to seminary and I did apply myself, I pulled straight A's. It was hard though. Because I had to read the book, had to go to class. Awful. I skipped like 23 classes in a row for one of the classes I did in high school and still passed. I may have not have gone to a very good high school. School growing up was so easy, and then I got to uni and got curb stomped. Yeah, I hear that, man. It's funny. Yeah. I didn't get my curb stomping until second year seminary. Like, I made it through my bachelor's easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then it was, when I got to seminary and all of a sudden it wasn't picking up naturally, and I didn't know what was happening. And just coming to class and listening wasn't enough in order to do the test. There was like things on the test that I didn't know because they didn't say it. They're like, well, it was in the book. I'm like, I didn't read the book. Well, go read the book. I don't want to. You do way better in practical applications. See, I didn't graduate with a great GPA because I, didn't do great for like a whole 2 semesters. I think we were out of 9. Hidden ADHD doesn't help. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I've never had to I never had to struggle with ADHD. It's never. I don't think I've ever really had that. I can get hyper focused. I can get excited about a subject. I can not have motivation to do it. I don't think it's ADHD though. Mid-C in all my math courses, then I was a 3D movement engine for custom craft from the depths of... What? I read that again. Den Constantine says, sir, I got a mid-C in all my math courses, but then I wrote a 3D movement engine for custom craft in from the depths from scratch. Well, and again, like you said, it's a practical thing, right? It's a practical thing. It has nothing to do with... you can know stuff and suck at tests, and you can not know stuff and be good at tests. Both are true. 3D printing electronics. Did it explode or fall apart? Yeah, exactly. Mission accomplished. Held together with duct tape. What's the old phrase? If it's stupid and it works, it ain't stupid, right? That's kind of true. There was a girl I remember in college. She was really good at school, better than me. She studied like crazy, and she would just come in and just ace tests, like A++++. And I remember doing a sociology course, and we were in it together, and I did my thing and she did her thing, and she got a great, it was like, wow, good job, you got a 99 in the course out of 100. And I walked up to her. There was a group of people that were chatting about the test, and I'm like, man, I said something about the test, or I said something about a subject that we had covered, like I used it in conversation kind of thing. And she's like, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of that, or whatever. Like, it's like literally, she memorized it for the test, and none of it stuck. None of it stuck. I got it for the test, and then flush, right? It's like, man, and that really frustrated me. I'm like, what is the point of being good at school if you are not going to understand what you just learned? It ain't it's Maxim 43. If it's stupid and it works, it's still stupid and you're lucky. But you can't argue with results. Maxim number 304. So there. Some classes require different brain gears too. Like some you memorize a lot of facts, and others you have to understand concepts, be able to discuss them. You have to know which you're in. Yeah, that's true. For sure. Yeah, like I flunked accounting. I was great at math. Like I took matriculation level math. I was good at math. And I got in. I could physics, man. I could calculus. Then I went to a basic accounting. No clue. None of it made sense. I tried. It did not make sense. The math did not stick. Like, put me back in freaking physics, man. I can't do accounting. They learn to take a test, but don't learn to apply the knowledge. Book smart and common sense stupid. Yep. And it goes the other way too, right? The folks who know what they're doing but don't know why. They just live by instinct. Wow, that looks really good. How'd you do that? I don't know. Could you do it again? Probably not. All right, let's do the, let me just throw it out one more time for the AMA. If you would like to AMA, if you want to chat about anything, now's a great time. I'd be more than happy to talk about it. If not, I'll give you my closing spiel, and then we'll see you over on Twitch. But I'm going to give you just a minute or two to see if you want to ask some stuff. But other than that, then it's time to go. In the meantime, I'll give you my little spiel, and that is, if you like what we're doing here and you appreciate what we're doing at Taco, or you like the talks or the teaching or whatever, head over to Coffee, coffee.com/XtianNinja, and you'll see my ministry reports and mission and life stuff, but you'll also see a way to support me financially. I'm completely supported by viewers. I don't have a church that's doing that yet, and I don't have a denomination that's doing it yet, like literally. So I'm supported by you guys. So please go check that out. The next thing is YouTube. Obviously, I'm on YouTube. I'm trying to grow on YouTube. Thank you for the new follows. That was really nice. But please tell folks that I'm on here, because it's really hard to get discovered. And so please, let them know. Thank you for working with me in the transition. I know it's weird, but I appreciate you all for doing that. And yeah, that's it. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. I've had a good few days, and I got really excited about Honkai, and I feel like I got some things done, and I had a great morning. Coffee was tasty. I'm doing pretty good, Dragon. Thanks for asking. Yes, subscribe and hit the like button. And I'll tell you what, I got to figure out that bot. I don't know why it was blocking everybody, but I will figure it out. That way Ukulele doesn't have to do this by hand. We get a bot to do it. Question, what do you see as the goal for creators who join Taco? Meaning, what do you want them to get out of it? The fundamental thing about Taco is the support of content creators. One of the things that the reason that we launched it is because when I looked out into the world of content creation, Christian content creation, so many people were alone. So many people didn't have connection to a pastor or a church. No, they didn't have training. Nobody had training. No discipleship, no accountability. The fundamental reason that Taco exists is so that the creator can feel loved, feel important, feel supported, get trained, get counseling, be able to open up their heart to somebody, to be connected to a group that's going to love them and pray for them, and to bring their community into a place where they know is safe and kind and good and helpful. That they are part of a group that understands content creation and understands content creators and how weird that life is, but is totally on board with it being a real ministry and a real a lifestyle that matters. It's not about us just generating content or having events. It's not about us getting big or growing in number. Like I don't ever think that we're going to be blowing up doors off anything, but because it really is all about seeing if we can show as much love as possible to the people that are in the network, and part of that we're still launching it. Obviously, it's not perfect. It has we have missing parts, right? Like we've got some places on the board that we really need some work so that we can do more of the caring stuff. But we've got the skeleton structure going, and I think we're seeing a lot of positive fruit from it. I'm trying to figure out how I can be more involved. Well, not losing my mind with all the things I'm doing, but it's but yeah, no, that's the mission. Well, Dragonheart says, I don't know how to stream, but I do try to support content creators. And that's such an important thing to recognize and go, hey, I am not a streamer, but I believe in digital missions and I believe in Christian content creation. So I'm going to support them. I'm a viewer. I consume the content. Other people get blessed by it. I'm going to support that. That's just as valid, right? The guy that goes to normal work and gets some money and then gives that money to a content creator is still part of the process, is still treasure in heaven, is still getting a blessing from being part of that. It's totally, totally valid. We want to provide training resources, chaplaining, collaboration, sponsorship opportunities, all that jazz. Yeah, and we're taking it a piece at a time. But at some point, like, I think TacoCon could actually happen, where we get together and we do some stuff together and have an event and we all gather together, and there's like, it's got meaningful things because that's part of the resources and the training and feeling special thing. Not yet, obviously, but I think that we're going to get there once we can, because we've got five members on the team. We were praying for 8 more this year. My hope was 8 more this year. We got 1, and we got 1 waiting in the wings, doing his best, try to get in. But it's we'll do this at whatever timing we can do. I feel like I'm doing the work. I feel like Ukulele's doing the work. I feel like Quiz is doing the work, where the team is doing stuff. And so therefore we haven't stopped, we haven't quit, we haven't, we're just chugging along. We're the little engine that couldn't it up the hill. Well, and exactly, Dragon. You build Discord. The whole point is that many don't know how to do some of that stuff, like graphics or video editing or sound editing or how to set up the tech or how icons work, or how the back end of Twitch works, or how the algorithm on YouTube works, or how shorts work, or they just don't know. They just have a passion for wanting to connect with people through that medium. We can help you maximize that. Come and get people behind you that do know how to do all that, but don't want to be the streamer. Totally valid. Yes, that's true. We are sponsoring another event for another org this month. We contacted them. That was kind of fun. We contacted them and was like, hey, can we help? We'd like to help. And they're like, sure, you can help. Okay, cool. And then we brainstormed how we can help. That's because we want to spread love and support. We want people to feel like that Christian Taco and me and everybody loves content creators. We just love you and we want the best for you. And I believe in you. And that's why I put hours and hours and hours and hours and hours into training and chatting and doing this kind of stuff. I believe in you. We're looking for volunteers. Yeah, we have some. We do need some pretty key volunteers, and some some grunt work, but some key volunteers. So if you're curious about what's going on and you have leadership stuff and experience, like say being an esports chaplain, or you have experience with events, or you're particularly good at social media stuff, we could use some help. Do you have dates set for your next taco training? No. We play that by ear here, baby. I've got the dates for the one that I'm currently doing, and my hope is to start another one in January. That's my hope, right? Because I've got people who are like, hey, I missed it and I want to do it and I can't do it. You know what I mean? But so I'm like, okay, we got people that are doing it. I'll do it in January. I don't know if I'll do 2 classes this time though, because the most of the people are on Saturday. Right, and there's like 3 people in the evening now, because they were both full. But then what happens every time is that people like, okay, let's go, and then they're like, oh, I actually can't. Life, and so we end up dropping out. And so I think I'll probably just do 1 next time, probably on Saturday. But we'll see. We'll see what God does and who wants to come. I'll make a decision then. So January-ish. I say a lot of things though, random. I really do. So just take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, Friday evenings or Saturdays. That's generally what it works. And so if I can get everybody on Saturday, and that's everybody can come to the class and they get the 9 people there, great. If we have 18 that want to go, and then we can split it up. I don't mind teaching. I don't mind the work. I've taught it a bunch of times now. It comes easy to me. I'm passionate about it, so therefore I can rally up the energy to get it done. So yeah, I love doing it. And the people who are part of it appreciate it. There's actually a video on my YouTube channel here that has some people who took the class and gave some feedback about it. And I've never had anybody say they didn't like it. Put it that way. Although maybe they didn't and they didn't tell me. All right, let's. I'm gonna switch over. Thank you for being here, you guys. At 2:00, I'll be on Twitch. We're going to jump into a game. We're going to play Honkai again. We got to go figure out why the heck the bank wants to shut down this planet. It seems aggressive to me. So we're going to go do that. I'll show you my new character, and we'll get going. I appreciate you guys. I really do. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your subs. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for hitting the like button. It means worlds. It really does. So I'm going to shut her down, and I'll see you guys on the other side at Twitch at 2 o'clock. Bye-bye.